Dispatch to car 17. We've got a report of odors and gas in the vicinity of River Road and Brody Lane.
Hi, I'm Mike Callan. I was a captain in the Wallingford, Connecticut Fire Department for 20 years and have been training emergency responders for over 37 years in hazardous materials emergency response. For the last 7 years, I have been working closely with the pipeline industry to help first responders and community officials increase their awareness and better understand pipeline operations in their communities. The one thing I've learned is that the top priority of the pipeline industry is to operate our nation's pipeline infrastructure safely and without incident. Pipeline operators are keenly aware that an emergency can occur despite all their positive efforts. This program is designed to help emergency responders, community officials, and pipeline operators to work together to effectively prevent and, if necessary, respond safely to a pipeline emergency. Each year, more than 66% of our oil, natural gas, and hydrocarbon resources are moved using a vast network of pipelines. Pipelines are the most efficient way to transport our nation's energy resources, and according to the Department of Transportation, they are the safest and most reliable way to move energy products. Every day, pipelines carry natural gas, crude oil, liquid petroleum products, and other chemicals without incident. However, despite pipelines' safety and efficiency statistics, the increase in energy consumption and the continued population growth near and around pipelines presents the potential for a pipeline emergency. Pipeline operators work closely with emergency response officials in the communities in which they operate pipelines. They communicate with local officials and emergency responders through many channels, including direct mail, face-to-face meetings, web training, even a DVD like this. This interaction between the community and the pipeline representatives helps establish important lines of communication. Responders and community officials must be aware of both transmission and distribution pipelines in their area. In general, transmission pipelines tend to be larger in diameter and transport high volumes of natural gas and petroleum products. Smaller diameter pipelines distribute natural gas to homes and businesses. Gathering pipelines transport crude oil and natural gas from the wellhead to production or processing facilities. Transmission pipelines carry materials from refineries to marketing and distribution terminals. There are 3 types of products commonly found in transmission lines. First, crude oil. Crude oil is a natural mix of petroleum products taken directly out of the ground from both onshore and offshore production facilities. Crude oil may also have concentrations of hydrogen sulfide, H2S, which is a toxic substance. Second, refined petroleum products. These products include gasoline, jet fuel, home heating fuels, diesel, and highly volatile liquids such as liquid petroleum gas and butane, and sometimes chemicals like anhydrous ammonia and carbon dioxide. And third, natural gas transmission. These lines are used only to transport natural gas. There are 2 types of pipeline distribution systems: liquid petroleum products and natural gas. Liquid petroleum products like gasoline and diesel and highly volatile liquids such as butane and propane are distributed by tanker trucks to their final destination. Natural gas is distributed to end users through local distribution companies, LDCs. You know them as your local gas company. LDCs receive natural gas from transmission pipelines at a point often called a city gate or gate station. The city gate is considered the transfer point, moving gas from a typically larger high-pressure pipeline to a smaller and reduced pressure pipeline. DOT's Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, PHMSA's National Pipeline Mapping System provides a program that communities use to locate pipelines in their area. The National Pipeline Mapping System provides interactive maps of the nation's transmission pipelines, as well as the name and contact information for the pipeline operator, the type of products being transported, and the status of the line. Pipeline operators use a combination of advanced technology and management processes to identify and mitigate risks that may damage a pipeline. Pipeline operators address each of these risks following industry best practices and regulatory requirements. Damage to underground pipelines can be caused by excavators who either fail to call before they dig or fail to respect the markers even after calling. The use of a nationwide one-call number, 811, allows any excavator, commercial or homeowner, to use the three-digit number 811 to reach their local one-call center. These services are provided at no charge to the public. Pipelines are constructed along a clear corridor of land called a right-of-way, sometimes referred to as ROW. Rights-of-way and pipeline markers identify the existence of a pipeline in the area. These rights-of-way are also inspected by the pipeline operator on the ground or by air to check for evidence of a pipeline leak or unauthorized activities along the line, such as excavation or a right-of-way encroachment. Right-of-ways must remain clear of obstructions. Pipeline markers and pipeline outreach programs provide a number to call in an emergency. This number goes directly to the Pipeline Control Center, the heart of the pipeline operations. Pipeline operations are monitored 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. Control centers constantly monitor the pressure, volume, and flow of the pipeline system. The pipeline industry uses internal inspection devices, sometimes referred to as smart pigs, to detect corrosion, dents, and other potential integrity issues. These devices travel through the pipeline and record numerous details about the condition of the pipe. The pipeline operator uses the information to address any potential defects. Pipeline operators identify areas of high consequence for special consideration. They work with city planners, developers, and other individuals involved in land use decision-making to address safety and emergency response issues. There are many clues to help responders recognize pipelines and their products before or during an emergency. Whether above or below ground, a right-of-way may contain one or more pipelines, vary in width, cross through public and or private property, and will be identified with a marker or sign. Markers are required to be present wherever a pipeline passes under roads, railroads, or waterways. Pipeline markers may look different, but every sign gives you the same information: the pipeline product, the pipeline operator, and a 24-hour emergency number, which responders can call for immediate help. Now, here's an important fact. Markers do not tell you the exact location or depth of the pipeline. They only indicate that there is a pipeline in the immediate vicinity. The pipeline may curve or angle around natural or man-made features. If there are multiple pipelines in the same right-of-way, a separate marker should be posted for each pipeline. Pipelines contain flammable and sometimes toxic gases and liquids that present emergency responders with a myriad of problems. For the majority of pipeline incidents, responders will have a limited number of strategic options for controlling a release. In fact, in almost all cases, the pipeline operator will be ultimately responsible to resolve the incident. Consequently, the responder's best objective is to minimize the level of risk to other responders, the community, and the environment. Approach the situation cautiously and keep a safe distance while using your senses to identify a release. The clues are as simple as what you see, what you hear, and what you smell. What you see. Look for dead or discolored vegetation that is otherwise green along a pipeline right-of-way. Sheens or oil slicks on flowing or standing water. Continuous bubbling in wet or flooded areas. Flames that appear to be coming from the ground. Liquids bubbling from the ground. Vapor clouds or aerosolized liquids that appear as a cloud. Dirt being blown into the air. What you hear. Listen for unusual hissing noises or roaring sounds like a jet engine noise near a pipeline. What you smell. Remember, gasoline, diesel fuel, and kerosene have distinctive odors when released. Anhydrous ammonia will have a very pronounced pungent odor. And natural gas, propane, and butane may or may not be odorized. If they are, these odorants will have a distinctive odor described as skunk-like or rotten eggs. If you come across one or more of these clues, leave the area immediately. Try to move upwind and uphill of the release. Do not attempt to investigate the situation or make contact with the leaking product or the exposed pipeline. Information is critical in the early moments of any hazardous materials incident, including a pipeline release. Consult the DOT Emergency Response Guidebook and call the 24-hour emergency response number on the pipeline marker. Remember, this is the best source of information in a pipeline release. When you call the 24-hour emergency phone number, you will speak directly with someone at the Pipeline Control Center. In an emergency, the control center can dispatch personnel, begin to isolate the source of the leak, and shut down the pipeline if necessary. In order to protect yourself and other responders, it is important to assess the hazards associated with a pipeline incident. It is critical for you to approach cautiously from an upwind or crosswind location. Remember, do not approach the scene with vehicles or mechanized equipment until the isolation zones have been established. Vehicle engines are a potential ignition source. Do not park over manholes or storm drains. Initiate the incident command system as early as possible, and remember, life safety is the #1 goal in a pipeline emergency. Unless it is necessary to save human life, flammable fires should not be extinguished on pipelines unless the fuel source has been isolated and the pipeline operator advises you to take this action. If the fuel source is not shut off and the fire is extinguished, leaking product can migrate away from the pipeline and find an ignition source. Flammable gas and vapors can escape under pressure from a pipeline, form a vapor cloud, and be ignited by an ignition source in the area. Explosions of unconfined vapor clouds can cause major structural damage and quickly escalate the emergency beyond responder capabilities. To help avoid this situation, responders should eliminate ignition sources if it can be done safely and without risk, and never ignite vapor clouds intentionally. Leak control is equally important when dealing with a pipeline emergency. Responders should take defensive measures such as establishing barriers to prevent liquids from spreading to water sources, if this can be done without risk. Responding to a pipeline emergency is an enormous challenge that requires preparedness and planning. By working with the pipeline operator, community officials and responders can be better prepared to prevent a pipeline release or, when necessary, respond to the emergency in a safe manner. Through programs like this and all the other efforts of the pipeline industry, community, and government, we can build the communication, coordination, and cooperation that is absolutely necessary to prevent or respond to a pipeline emergency.